Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm sure you guys have seen the new Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer and also the controversies regarding it on Yasuke, on whether he was actually a samurai around that time. And there's been a lot of misinformation I've seen, like flying around, just like blatant, like garbage in the debates that I've been seeing. But it's, Twitter. Like, what else do you expect? Some people are saying he was invented for a book called Black Samurai. Other people are saying that it's just a bunch of heavily altered Wikipedia pages. But, like, is any of that true? Uh, Maybe some of it. This is crazy. The entire Yasuke fanfic story was fabricated by a white man named Thomas Lockley using fake Wikipedia sources. He even deceived Japanese people. Everything you read about Yasuke is fake, imposed by white liberals. In 2024, they erase history on Wiki for a game. Mind blown. Thomas, what did you do to this man? Jesus Christ.
Began with Wikipedia. A lot of the stuff you see on Twitter, YouTube, and online articles actually comes from Wikipedia, but a lot of that information was wrong. It all goes back to October 22, 2012. Someone added a sentence to Wikipedia that said, when Nobunaga was convinced that this person really had dark skin, he valued him highly, named him Yasuke, and kept him close. This sentence wasn't true and caused a lot of confusion. Then on June 14, 2013, someone changed the Wikipedia article again. It now said he was officially made a Bushido warrior and kept close. This change made people think that Yasuke had become a samurai, and that's how the legend of Yasuke, the Black Samurai, was born. The next day, on June 15, another line was added to the Wikipedia article. It said, Nobunaga liked Yasuke so much that he intended to make him a lord in the future. In just one day, Yasuke had been promoted to a future lord, but this was completely false. So, from 2012 to 2024, Yasuke was indeed considered a samurai on the internet. Then something interesting happened. On January 25, 2017, Thomas Lockley, an associate professor at Nihon University, published a book called Nobunaga and Yasuke. Later, on May 2, 2019, the same author released Yasuke, the true story of the legendary African samurai. First foreign-born samurai, and his astonishing journey from Northeast Africa to the heights of Japanese society. This book was actually co-authored by Lockley and another writer. It's a 400-page novel, and most of it is fiction. After investigating, they realized that Thomas Lockley was just making things up. And where did Thomas Lockley, who wrote the novel, learn about Yasuke? From none other than Wikipedia.
We'll go ahead and speak on some of the shady Wikipedia edits because I have found some myself while I was kind of doing some of this research. But we can go ahead and start talking about Yasuke in like media. Thomas Lockley, he didn't make up Yasuke. Yasuke, he's actually real. He's been in publications in the 1960s. A book by Kurusu Yoshio titled Kurosuke, which is a fictional account of his history during the late 1500s. It was made as a children's book. And then you also have the Jesuit missionaries. They have documentation and letters of Yasuke's presence in Japan in the late 16th century as well, when they brought him there. And then also in the Shinsho Koki, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's the Chronicles of Lord Nobunaga. There's also references to Yasuke in there too. So, that leaves the question, who was Yasuke? Obviously, he was an African man, or a very dark-skinned individual who arrived in Japan in or around the late 1570s. And the Chronicle of Lord Nobunaga goes on to say, on the 23rd of the second month, a blackamoor, which means a black African or very dark-skinned person, came from the Christian, I'll just say Christian country. He appeared to be 26 or 27 years old, black all over his body, just like an ox. This man looked robust and had a good demeanor. What is more, his formidable strength surpasses that of 10 men. Don't know how they knew that, but Lord Nobunaga watched wrestling and sumo and all that, so, I mean, maybe he participated. We would never know. And he goes on to say, Indeed, it was owing to Nobunaga's power and his glory that yet unheard of treasures from the three countries and curiosities of this kind came to be seen here time and time again, a blessing indeed. And people say he was eccentric and all this stuff, so I guess he did have an eye for exotic things, and he probably viewed him as exotic around the time. Now, Yasuke didn't just go there on tour. He wasn't vacationing, but he was brought to Japan by a Jesuit missionary called Alessandro Valiganano as his servant. The Jesuits, or the Society of Jesus, was found in 1540, and they did take part in the Portuguese slave trade. They justified this by claiming that their ownership and participation was meant to convert their slaves to Catholicism. I bring this up because what I've seen is that some people are saying his origins in Africa might be the Mozambique uh, colony, which was a Portuguese colony at the time. And I guess Alessandro would have been there at some point, but that's whatever. Regardless, he arrived in Japan as a servant to Valiganano, who was overseeing the Jesuit mission in that region at the time. Once there, regardless of like how conflicting the sources are, because I was having trouble finding it myself, because the letters and then also the chronicles of Nobunaga said two different things, but the verbiage was kind of weird, and it wasn't really clear on whether he was gifted, given, or went into the service of Nobunaga, but like at least the chronicles say at some point, Valiganano turned over the slave to Nobunaga upon the hegemon's express request. So regardless, somehow Nobunaga was able to obtain Yasuke, and Yasuke went into his service. This is also verified in Matsudaira Itada's diary, which also confirmed that Yasuke was presented to Nobunaga as well. And then you also have the letters from Luis Frois and Lorenzo Messia, which are translated from Portuguese, which refer to him as a Cafres, which means a person of African origin or a dark skinned person, that also mention that Yasuke was given to Lord Nobunaga. The letters also go on to state that Nobunaga took a liking to him and gave him a stipend or a salary, and he acted as a warrior bodyguard for him and later his son. I couldn't find anywhere that he was given residence. From what I was reading, it seemed that he lived in very close proximity to Oda, because I guess he was, seen as exotic. So at most, Yasuke was a warrior, according to all of the texts that I did read. Um, Now, the strongest argument for Yasuke being a samurai, which again is backed up by no records because there's no documents like left over when his estate went down and Nobunaga died. But say there are documents that did have a surname for Yasuke. We'll never know that. Or anything past that point, really. But we do know for certain he is a warrior. And the last inkling of speculation that I can give to it is a letter from Lorenzo Messia, October 8th, 1581. I'm unable to find a translation for it, but the loose translation that I did get said, "The padre brought one Kafri with him, and no one in the capital has seen one before. And they all admired him, and countless people came to see him. Nobunaga himself saw him and was surprised, and thought it was painted with ink and did not believe he was black from birth. He sees him from time to time, and he knew some Japanese, so he never got tired of talking to him. And he was strong and knew some tricks. Nobunaga was very happy. Now he's his strong patron, and to let everyone know that he has someone show to show and go around with him in the city, the people say Nobunaga would make him a tono. And then a tono would be a lord. So they were thinking that because Nobunaga liked him so much that he would make him a lord. But that's also based off of what this guy in his letter is saying. So that's also speculation. Going back to the residency, again, I found he lived near Oda because Oda really liked to show him off and was very protective of him. Anytime he went out, he would be escorted by an attendant. The local population, they very much like to see Yasuke. He learned a little bit of Japanese, which is like also mentioned in the letter. They put a number of like gifts that Oda used to give to Yasuke and everything inside of the letters as well. Besides that, Yasuke did fight under Nobunaga during the Sengoku era, uh, and demonstrated his loyalty and combat skills during that time to him, which is also documented as well. And then in 1582, during the Honoji incident, you'll probably remember earlier the book from the 1960s, Kurosuke. It was based upon this incident. Nobunaga was betrayed by one of his generals, Akechi Mitsuhide, and he was forced to commit seppuku. After his death, a letter from Luis Ferris, I butchered his name, sorry, it claimed that Yasuke moved to his Oda Nobunaga's son and heir, Oda Nobutada, to protect him at his residence, like he did with his father. And it was said in the letter Yasuke fought bravely, but eventually he was captured by Akechi's vassal, and Akechi returned him to the Jesuit missionary based on the letter. The letter goes on to say when Akechi and his vassals returned Yasuke to them, Akechi said, "The kafir is like an animal and knows nothing. He's not Japanese, so don't kill him, and give him to the church of the Indian Padre." It is unknown what happened past this point, but based upon the letters, Yasuke did survive because the person writing the letter says, thank goodness he didn't get hurt. And now say what you want about Thomas Lockley's like historical fiction or whatever you want to call it, but I'll take historical documents over anything written past like the 2000s completely. And then on the topic of Thomas Lockley and misinformation, I want to go into why do some people like just straight up doubt his existence or his status? For that, I'll just place the entire blame on the internet. Um, the internet has played a big role in spreading misinformation on a ton of topics, including this one. And like you can look it up yourself using Google Trends, but between 2010 and 2015, interest in Yasuke like surged, which led to many online articles, debates, and everything. But the truth about Yasuke is documented in historical text. Even though it's a small bit of information, it's enough information to like poke holes in if Wikipedia or other people make articles where you can sniff out the BS basically. All that to say, Yasuke was a real historical figure, and while he didn't do anything notable, the fact that he existed and was there around that time period is pretty cool. And due to so much of his story being unknown, he's like the perfect template for storytelling. And there's many modern interpretations of Yasuke that already add their own spin. Like there was an anime on Netflix for it. He's appeared in like some fighting games and stuff like that. The core of his story does remain rooted in historical fact. I can see where people are coming from when they talk about the shady Wikipedia edits and how all of the information is off of Wikipedia, and that's why I didn't use Wikipedia for my sources. I tried to find what sources actually existed, and I did a deep dive into those. Um, if I made it as detailed as possible, like this video would probably be over an hour. Uh, but while I was looking for portrayals of samurai that have been based on Yasuke, and I saw Afro Samurai, and I never remembered hearing Yasuke past like the early 2000s or the late 2000s. So I kind of like did some digging, and I saw that Yasuke was the inspiration for Afro Samurai. And when I looked into it, I looked at interviews from the creator of Afro Samurai, Takeshi Ozaki, and he said his inspiration for Afro Samurai came from many samurai movies, novels, manga, and he said, I would say the Kurosawa films, Lone Wolf and Club, Zatoshi, and Nemuru Koshiro, especially, were big influences on my work. And then when he was asked how did he come up with the character Afro, the protagonist of Afro Samurai, he said, I've been hooked on African American music like hip hop and soul since I was a teenager. And that's when I started doodling African American cartoon characters on things like Kleenex boxes. Then I threw in elements of samurai, which had also been my fascination, and eventually the character of Afro Samurai was created. I started writing the manga series when my artist friends and I found an independent magazine called Nuo Nuo Hau as a place to pursue our creativity without constraints on our style of expression. And when I saw these interviews, what kind of confused me was there was like no mention of Yasuke anywhere. And so I started looking around for citations of where the author said that, yeah, Afro is based on Yasuke, but I couldn't find anything. So I went into the edit history of the Afro Samurai Wikipedia page, and I saw that despite this, 2014 Wikipedia edit falsely claims that Yasuke inspired Afro Samurai, with no citation provided when the post was edited, nor could I find any Wikipedia citation or any source online for this as well. And then on the same day, a couple of minutes later, on the Yasuke Wikipedia page, Afro Samurai was added to that page as a real life Black Samurai reference. Prior to April 23rd, 2014, there was no mention of Yasuke. There's no interviews of the creator stating this. There's no interviews currently of the creator stating that Yasuke was his inspiration. Only the initial two interviews that I could find. Now, I don't believe in conspiracy theories and all this like Illuminati and like all these people control the world and they're trying to make us da 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 da. But I mean, like there's an appealing narrative of like Black Samurai in like media. Like that's really all it is, and this misinformation is just pushed because of it. Like come on, it's a cool historical figure, but embellishing the truth is still a form of lying. It doesn't really help us, it only hurts us. And when people start seeing this character in future media, they're only gonna get angry when they see it. Uh, Most notably, what's happening now. My video was originally gonna be about wheelchairs in D&D campaigns and how to write disabled characters like really well, but then for whatever reason it turned into this. But thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. I would love to do more of these. Hey, share your thoughts, and if you have any additional information on Yasuke, hey, put it down in the comments. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments. Try not to be nasty to each other. Until next time, thank you. Bye.